Are you going to bed too early? Are you not going to bed late enough?
If we are pushing sleep off, we probably eat more calories.
People are also very used to not sleeping when they are tired.
Once you've lost your sleep, you can't get it back. You're building a relationship with wakefulness in bed instead of sleeping in bed.
Is your sleep the reason why you can't lose weight? Could be. So today we're going to talk about how, why, and what you can do about it with clinical psychologist Dr. Beverley David, who is also a sleep researcher. So you are the perfect guest for this conversation. Hello, hi, good morning.
Isn't it funny how sleepy I feel today? It's no accident that we are supposed to spend a third of our lives asleep. And this is our recharge. This is our time to not only unplug, but actually really look after our body, because in order to do our day, we must do our night as well. We must have time to replenish and restore. What happens when you take sleep away? It's dramatic. Probably all of us know how quickly, if we miss a night's sleep or we have a shortened night's sleep or a poor night's sleep, we will find it hard to find word finding, or we're a little bit more erratic and impatient with ourselves. We'll get frustrated. We might be more emotional. If we haven't recharged, we're going to be sleepy during the day. So we might start noticing mistakes. So that's cognitive things. But also we know our body is changing. Hormones will start to adjust. The hormones that can relate, because we're talking about your program, fullness and feeling hunger. So those cues go wonky. Okay. So it's really fascinating that then when we give our sleep back, we then see this recharge, and that we're able to actually see a correction in a lot of these things. We're able to make better decisions. We're able to have clarity. We're able to see bigger picture.
Your sleep dictates how you show up each day, not just physically, but also mentally. At what point does lack of sleep affect you? Are we just talking like one crappy night's sleep?
When we look at data, we see that when we lose that 1 hour, there is huge consequences the next day in national statistics of car accidents, suicides, heart attacks. That's 1 hour difference. And then when we get it back, when we get that sleep back, when we gain that 1 hour, we see a change in that skew, that data direction. So it is very dramatic when we mess around with our sleep. The main thing we want to learn about how to protect our sleep is definitely regularity. Regularity is the guardian of sleep, because our body likes to know what's what. And we have a very, very advanced, clever, sophisticated clock inside of our brain that is telling us when we're supposed to be sleeping. So every morning when we wake up, when we see the bright light, it hits our eye, it goes into our brain, and it messages that clock it is daytime. Okay, that's sunshine cueing us in, because we have the outside cues and then we have our inside cues. So we want to help our inside body with those cues, just like eating at a regular interval or at regular patterns. It's helping our body know what's what. When is morning, when is mid-morning, when's afternoon, etc. And then we want to let our body know that we're winding down for the evening. And then we want to try and keep it as regular as possible, because now we know even that hour messes us up. Social jet lag is that when a weekend can mess us up and make us very wonky, where we've stayed up a little bit later, maybe 2 hours later, and then we've slept in a little bit on the Saturday morning or the Sunday. Now we're in a jet lag. We've accidentally made a social jet lag where we've actually traveled two zones. We would be maybe near Calgary in our body, and then on Monday we expect ourselves to be on it and feel fresh, but we're not. We've got to then readjust our sleep clock to be feeling normal again.
Should we be shifting our sleep patterns, like as we roll into different seasons and it gets darker earlier? Should we be going to bed earlier? Should we be getting up earlier? When we do switch those clocks, should we be adjusting the time that we're eating, the time that we're going to bed?
We want to try and keep as stable as we can. That decrease in our daylight, that also has implications for our mood and our energy. And we can probably all relate to that when we have a shorter day, we don't seem to have as much energy. So we want to make sure we prioritize the daylight that we do have. And now we have artificial light, and that's really difficult because then we're not cueing ourselves as naturally to when the sun rises and the sun falls. So then we accidentally will displace sleep. We'll accidentally miss those sleepy cues. So that's more important, is to notice your sleepy cues. That's what you want to follow, is am I yawning? Am I rubbing my eyes? Am I actually sort of becoming a little hypnagogic, which is where you're feeling drowsy and heavy, and then pushing past it and thinking, oh no, I want to watch that show, or I haven't had any time to myself yet, or I want to read that book. Now, that's not listening to our cues. Once you've lost your sleep, you can't get it back. So you can't the next night try and sleep longer and try and repair that debt. So we want to be prioritizing the opportunity.
Let me ask you this. When is the dream, like, what's the sign that you're getting good sleep? Like, is it dreaming?
No, it's how you feel. It really is your subjective experience. And again, that's why your own measure of it is the most important one. Okay, so a sleep diary would be asking you, how did you feel? Did you feel like you woke up refreshed? Did you feel you had enough sleep? How was the day? And that's the measure. If you can tell when you feel like you've got energy.
People are so used to not eating when they are hungry, especially when going on diets. And people are also very used to not sleeping when they are tired.
Sometimes we have sleep beliefs. I must have 9 hours of sleep, or I must have 10 hours. Now, that demand on ourselves might make something go wrong with our behavior. So now we're getting into bed at 9 p.m., even when we're not sleepy. So we don't want to be in bed if we're not going to be asleep. So there's a 15-minute sort of rule that we want to be thinking, if you're not asleep within 15 minutes, get up and do something else. Because what we want to start looking at is an equation called sleep efficiency. How long were you in bed not sleeping? Okay, because easy maths, if someone's in bed for 10 hours, but they only was asleep 5 hours, that's 50% sleep efficiency. You're building a relationship with wakefulness in bed instead of sleeping in bed.
It really is about being aware of your sleep patterns, understanding the importance of getting better sleep. What about men and women? Are they different in the amounts of sleep that we need?
Unfortunately, the data continues to be solid that women report more sleep difficulties throughout the ages. So we still are winning, unfortunately. We also see, and we can probably guess, but the data tells us why. We have responsibilities, we have influxes in hormones, we go through particular life events, perhaps, whether it might be having a baby, losing a baby, then we might hit our perimenopause, menopause, and we know that 30 to 40% will experience the sleep disturbance during menopause due to that estrogen drop, disrupting that not only the serotonin, which has a role in sleep regulation, but also the progesterone that helps to kind of relax us and that sedation feeling. So hot flushes contribute to a huge amount of a disruption in sleep. So we do see a lot more sleep difficulties in females.
What can you do with a racing mind before you go to bed?
Okay, so that's one of the number one complaint. Looking at your sleep window, because it's all connected. The longer you have time in bed awake, the more likely the thoughts are going to arrive. Okay, so we've got to look at what's happened. To begin with, we could look at a little bit before that. We could think, have we had enough time during the day to think? Have we set aside a worry time, a journal time, a mindful moment? So now what we want to do is think, have you got too much awake time? Do we need to adjust so that you are asleep quicker? Because if it is taking you 20, 30, 40 minutes to fall asleep. That's where we would think, should we compress your sleep a bit? Should we sleep restrict you a little bit? So if you're in bed for, say, 9 hours, but you're worrying and thinking and racing mind for an hour, then let's only give you 8 hours, and let's see if we can stop that. So then you'd pick your wake up time and you'd move backwards. Okay, so you think, okay, 7 o'clock is doable. I'm going to go from 7 a.m. in the morning to 11. And even if the person is quite sleepy now, this is where I'm going to ask you to wait a little bit, then get into bed, do your nighttime routine, do something lovely, wind down in a nice way. And remember, good sleepers can do whatever they want, you know, so think like a good sleeper, then get into bed at 11. And we hope that because you're sleepier, because you haven't got into bed an hour earlier, your mind lets you sleep quicker. So we're trying to prevent that opportunity for the racing mind. The very important thing about cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, it is also that frustration. Okay, you talked about sleep effort. We don't want to try and sleep. It's called paradoxical intention. If I tell somebody, okay, please fall asleep as fast as you can, it's very hard. If I tell someone to please stay awake for as long as they can, that's difficult. By not trying, sleep comes. But then also the angst, the frustration, like I must sleep. I've got that meeting tomorrow. If I don't, I'll be good for nothing. And that is going to provoke cortisol, and it's going to chase sleep away. So it's very difficult, but we have to think, I'm just going to read my book. I'm going to read my book. I'm going to put a show on. I'm going to give up trying to sleep, and I'm going to give up that frustration, because that's definitely not going to help me sleep.
What do you think about sleeping pills? And then the next question is about the 5 a.m. club. Is there any benefit to getting up early and being part of that 5 a.m. club?
I sit on the advisory committee for Ontario Health Quality Insomnia Standard and the Older Adult Insomnia Collaborative. And the first line treatment is not sleep medication. It is CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, because what has gone wrong is your relationship with sleep and your body clock. And what they do is they give you the sense that you're asleep, but they change your hypnogram where it is not doing what we want it to do. Okay, it'll change to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 rapid eye movement. And that then has different implications. So if you are giving a sleep medication, you should be giving it with a real plan to come off it. It's supposed to be a very short-term solution if you need it, but they should be helping you know how and when are you coming off it. And I see a lot of people that will have been on it for 30 years. It is most definitely not working because they're coming to see me because their sleep is still poor. So it's changing your sleep architecture. So the next one was the 5 a.m. club. Okay, so I definitely want people to be thinking, are they getting enough sleep? Because if they're not, I don't want them to be getting up at 5 a.m. If they're staying up till midnight hustling, and then they think, okay, and I'm going to want a really great start and wake up at 5 a.m. Now you're shrinking your sleep to 5 hours, and that's really short, and you're going to start. No. So you want to be thinking, does this fit into your lifestyle? Do you have room for it? And so you may find that you are a natural lark and you really do, you just thrive in the morning, and you tire and your productivity and your efficiency wanes in the evening, and that's totally fine. And some people, it's the opposite. They're slower in the morning, which is totally fine, and they accelerate more into the evening. And that's where they get their momentum.
Let's bring awareness to what's going on. How are you feeling when it's time for bed? Once you're in bed, are you waking up? How are you feeling when you get up the next day? And this is that suggestion of a sleep diary. Collect that, know exactly what's going on and where you're at right now. Will give you insight into figuring out what you need to do. Are you going to bed too early? Are you not going to bed late enough? Are you getting up? There could be other factors, like getting up to go to the bathroom could be just a natural sign of your body releasing some fat in detox, or it could be an underlying issue with pelvic health. There's a lot going on. The first thing you need to do, though, is understand the importance of it and how it's affecting the choices you're making and how your body is responding. And knowing that people are here to lose weight, how do you think sleep is impacting their ability to lose weight?
Well, we know those two hormones are very involved. So sleep loss, sleep deprivation is going to disrupt those hormones that regulate the hunger and regulate the appetite. So we're going to feel hungry more, and we're going to miss the cues of fullness. Okay, so it's going to do that. We also know that it plays around with our ability to regulate blood sugar. Okay, so that further can contribute to our weight ebbs and flows, and weight gain specifically, because that insulin sensitivity is much more difficult when we're missing sleep. We also know that if we are pushing sleep off and we're staying up later, we're more likely, and the data shows that we probably eat, I know we don't count calories, but the research will say about 300 to 400 more calories than somebody that's having a 7-hour night's sleep, because they have another opportunity to maybe eat more. And of course, when we've rested our mind, we've rested our prefrontal cortex, we then are able to be more mindful. We're able to know, am I hungry? How am I feeling? Am I busy? Am I stressed? We're able to be more mindful of everything.
So sleep is very important. You need it. Absolutely. It can be impacting not just how your body functions physically, but mentally, the choices that you're making. And more importantly, how we started the conversation, how you are showing up for yourself,
Yeah.
not just with the program and this process, but in day-to-day life. Dr. Beverley David, thank you so much.
Have a good day.